Over Sudan's border, just behind me, its people are suffering the biggest humanitarian catastrophe on the planet. I just sat with a woman who showed me the burn marks. She had been burnt by soldiers, she had been beaten, and she had been raped. Where is the liberal outrage? We cannot have a hierarchy of conflict with this conflict at the bottom. When I came into office, I was determined that Britain would not look the other way. In November, we won support from all but Russia on a resolution for peace in Sudan at the UN Security Council. Let me be clear, the UK will not forget Sudan. Back at the end of last year, I doubled aid to 230 million so we could reach 800,000 people. But the world now needs to do more. I'm calling for three things. First, we need a ceasefire. Second, we've got to get people access to aid. And third, we have to come together with regional and international partners for a political process that brings about peace and stability.
David Lammy has sparked outrage after announcing a $20 million aid package for Sudanese refugees, even as the UK faces mounting economic crises at home, with inflation soaring, public services crumbling, and families across Britain struggling to make ends meet. Lammy's decision to funnel millions abroad is being widely condemned as tone deaf, irresponsible, and utterly detached from the realities faced by the people he is supposed to serve. At a time when the UK is going bust, Lammy's priorities are glaringly out of touch. Instead of addressing the dire needs of British citizens, he has chosen to virtue signal on the global stage, throwing taxpayer money at a crisis thousands of miles away, while neglecting the spiraling crises in his own backyard. From underfunded schools and overwhelmed hospitals to families choosing between heating and eating, the UK is in desperate need of leadership focused on domestic recovery, not grandstanding on international issues for political clout. Lammy's move reeks of hypocrisy and self-serving opportunism. While he lectures African leaders about their silence on Sudan, he conveniently ignores the fact that the UK has played a historical role in destabilizing regions like Sudan through colonial exploitation and misguided foreign policy. His gesture of $20 million is not only woefully inadequate for solving the Sudan crisis, but also an insult to struggling Brits who are footing the bill for his international virtue signaling. If Lammy were truly committed to solving humanitarian issues, he might start by fixing the systemic problems at home that he and his party continually fail to address. The timing of this announcement adds insult to injury. With British taxpayers already stretched thin and public debt at historic levels, Lammy's decision to hand out millions abroad comes across as an egregious slap in the face. His inability to prioritize the needs of his own constituents highlights a troubling pattern in his leadership, one marked by performative gestures and empty rhetoric rather than practical solutions and meaningful action. Critics have also slammed Lammy's use of emotionally charged comparisons, such as describing the Sudan crisis as worse than Gaza. These remarks not only trivialize other humanitarian tragedies, but also seem designed to distract from his failings at home. Rather than offering real solutions or fostering unity, Lammy appears more interested in stoking division and drawing attention to himself. In conclusion, David Lammy's decision to hand out $20 million to Sudanese refugees while Britain faces its own economic meltdown is a disgraceful display of misplaced priorities and political grandstanding. His leadership is increasingly being seen as an embarrassing mix of hypocrisy, incompetence, and detachment from the struggles of ordinary Britons. The UK deserves a leader who puts its citizens first, not one who sacrifices them for the sake of international headline.
A life for a life is a good moral compass, and I certainly don't think the evil, I don't even want to name the man that's now in custody, because it was so heinous, so evil, so awful what he did, And even at that, I still cannot bring myself to say that it's our right to take his life.
Well, you talk about a moral compass. Mine is heading, I would see as a death penalty straight away. I have literally no problem with it at all. I don't care about what somebody might call a moral compass, or you're so immoral, and that's not very nice of you, aren't you, an evil, wicked person, for actually condoning a death penalty for a murderer, a child murderer. And I would actually have an option for paedophiles as well, but I would start with castration with them. I literally have no issues with it at all, and I think this is why the discussion needs to be open for people to be able to talk about it.
Well, I completely agree with you on that point. I have no objection whatsoever to having a national discussion about it, or to discussing it on programmes such as this, because it is important for people to air their views, and I think that your perspective is perfectly legitimate. I just completely disagree with it.
No, and again, your perspective, I think, is just completely wrong. I totally disagree with you. But I hear your point. But I also, in the case of, I'm not as nice as you. Yours was very nice the way you said that for me, but I wasn't going to do that. No, but in the case of this this situation, I'm sorry, but I can see no benefit to the public for keeping this man alive, and it's just going to cost us a fortune. I can see no benefit for the prison system. When he gets there, he's not going to be treated well, and I'm glad of that, but I would rather see him executed, taken off this planet. I'd like to see that.
There's a lot of emotion surrounding this case.
It's not emotion for me. I'm not going on emotion. I'm looking at what happened.
Well, you seem quite emotional. You seem quite...
I'm angry.
Well, that's an emotion.
Yeah, but that's not why I'm coming to this. It's not about emotion for me. I think that for people like this, the death penalty should be available. Whether you want to label it as emotion, I don't know whether that is relevant. The bottom line is, it is what he has done that is making me see that and believe that he's not a use to society.
Anger is an emotion, and that's what's driving you at the moment to come to this end state of wanting capital punishment.
I'm absolutely
I would say that any laws in this country that should be changed, ought to be changed, will be changed, could be changed,
should be changed,
should not come out of anger, passion, emotion.
Nana Akwa's strong condemnation of the Southport murderer and her unequivocal support for the death penalty reflect a contentious but deeply felt perspective on justice and punishment. Her statement, "I have literally no problem with it at all," underscores her belief that capital punishment is a justified and necessary response to heinous crimes. While her stance resonates with those who view the death penalty as a deterrent and a form of ultimate justice, it also invites significant debate about the ethics, effectiveness, and implications of such a policy. Akwa's anger is understandable, given the severity of the crime and the profound impact it has had on the victim's family and the community. For many, such acts of violence demand the harshest possible punishment to provide closure for the bereaved and send a strong message to society that such behavior will not be tolerated. Her endorsement of the death penalty reflects a belief in retributive justice, where the punishment mirrors the gravity of the crime committed. This perspective often appeals to emotions, particularly in cases involving extreme violence or premeditated murder, where public outrage is at its peak. However, Akwa's stance also raises important questions about the death penalty's role in a modern justice system. Critics argue that capital punishment is inherently flawed, as it risks the execution of innocent individuals due to judicial errors. Studies have also cast doubt on its effectiveness as a deterrent, suggesting that factors like socioeconomic conditions and mental health play a more significant role in preventing crime. By advocating for the death penalty, Akwa aligns herself with a punitive approach that some view as outdated in an era focused on rehabilitation and restorative justice. Furthermore, the morality of the death penalty remains a polarizing issue. Many opponents argue that state-sanctioned executions are a violation of human rights and perpetuate a cycle of violence. Others contend that life imprisonment without parole is a more ethical and equally effective alternative, allowing for the possibility of redemption and reparation. Akwa's dismissal of these concerns as inconsequential highlights a tension between the emotional drive for retribution and the rational discourse on justice reform. Akwa's unwavering support for the death penalty also reflects broader societal divisions on how justice should be administered. Her position appeals to those who feel that the legal system often fails to adequately punish serious offenders, particularly in cases where victims' families are left feeling that justice has not been served. However, it risks alienating those who believe in a more nuanced and compassionate approach to justice, emphasizing prevention and rehabilitation over punishment. In conclusion, Nana Akwa's fiery endorsement of the death penalty for the Southport murderer reveals deep-seated frustrations with the current justice system and a strong desire for accountability. While her stance resonates with many who share her anger and demand retributive justice, it also sparks essential debates about the ethics, effectiveness, and long-term implications of capital punishment. As society continues to grapple with these questions, Akwa's comments serve as a stark reminder of the emotional and moral complexities surrounding the issue. Thanks for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the content. Share your feedback in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos. Also, join our free Telegram group link in the description for uncensored discussions on important issues.